who are new to MSD, let me quickly introduce the program. Maharashtra State Development of Educators and Enhancement Delivery is a program started by IISER Pune in support and collaboration from a newly established academy by the government of Maharashtra, the Maharashtra State Faculty Development Academy. It's been a year where we have started this program. The whole program focuses on undergraduate teachers and postgraduate teachers development. We have been conducting various engagements and activities with the teachers, initially online and later in person. I'm going to share a link in the chat, which is of our website. You'll get more information there. This is something we are starting today, a series, a webinar series for the benefit of teachers and students. Perhaps I'll request Saurabh to welcome everyone and introduce this series so that we can move ahead.
Thank you, Asim. So good morning, everyone. I know a lot of you already know about the MSD program, have taken part in it, and are basically, like Asim said, part of the team. One of the goals, as you know, for any of these programs, or all the various different faculty development things that you will do, is the challenge is to stay current, right? So most of us who teach, we know that many a times due to various constraints, you're going to end up teaching maybe the same course for a couple of years. Sometimes even longer, you may teach the same thing for 3-4 years. In addition to that, there's a lot of different administrative responsibilities that one has. Moreover, you talk to students. While it is true for students, the challenges tend to be new. For teachers, what happens is year after year, you hear more or less the same things. Certainly for me, when I now talk to undergrads, I keep thinking that haven't I already had this discussion? Ki hi charcha keli hoti, mi sangitlo hota. But it's a new student, right? So typically our job, because of the academic nature and the year after year, lends itself to some similarity. Now, one of the things that is important for us is to A, stay current, B, also be sort of pushed out of our comfort zone a little bit so that we hear new ideas and we have something to chew on so that we are intellectually satisfied. Many of these things come from some of the courses we teach. Sometimes if you've taught something for 3-4 times, you will try to introduce a new chapter, or you will try to say that I'm not going to use this example anymore. I'll try to do something different. There's certainly stuff that we do. If you've been through the MSD program, you'll also know that, we now try to push activity-based things, which naturally means that, there's something new happening. Now, this webinar series is another aim of ours along the same line. The idea is that there are a lot of different fun things happening around the world. A lot of these topics are fairly relevant for us, sometimes directly so, as you'll hear today, but sometimes also in a slightly offbeat way. It can influence how we think, what we do in the classroom, and what we want to, achieve at the end of the day. So with that idea in mind, we thought we'll start this sort of easy way where we, all of our Sundays and weekends are busy, but nevertheless, it's a relatively easy way for us to hear some new interesting ideas from people who do these interesting things, and get a chance to interact with them, ask them questions. Hopefully we get to ask these questions of experts who use that particular tool or whatever it is in their day-to-day thing. And this gives us something to chew on. So today's topic is also an extremely relevant one. So much so that I think maybe a couple of weeks ago, even Saptahik Sakal has had an article on ChatGPT. Now, it is that fast. To be honest, I don't think Saptahik Sakal has had an article on Instagram, but it has had an article on ChatGPT. This is how revolutionary it could be. So that's why we'd like to start off our webinar series with something that is so relevant. Our hope is to continue this and to have a list of different topics that all of us should enjoy. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Nirja for the rest of the session today.
Thank you, Saurabh. We will wait a couple of more minutes, I think, until Aakash joins back. He is joining us from all the way from, okay, so you're here, good. So he's joining us from Berkeley, and it's my pleasure to introduce him. He's a good friend and also somebody that keeps learning new things, keeps trying new things in the field of education. So I think we all will learn something new today. So let me formally introduce Aakash. He is currently a postdoctoral researcher at University of Berkeley in California. And before this, he did his PhD in gifted education, gifted creative and talented studies from Purdue University from the US. But to be really honest, he is much more grounded to the education scenario in India because he has taught at school level, he has taught at college level, he has designed programs for colleges that, before really going for his PhD abroad. So I don't want to really kind of go on introducing him because it's really difficult to summarize what all he has done in next 2 minutes. He has received multiple awards. One of them is the notable award I would like to say is the most current one, which is the which is the AERA Division H Outstanding Dissertation Award. So with that, Aakash, we are really looking forward to learning something new today. Just take us on the journey. Thank you.
Namaskar. It is my extreme pleasure to be here. It's always pleasure to work with IISER and especially with this particular team who is so dedicated to the cause of education. There's so much to talk about today. Artificial intelligence, नावाचं एक नवीन वादळ गेले काही वर्ष आपल्या अंगावर येत आहे. आणि recently in the last 4 months, things have changed so drastically that as educators, we need to take a cognizance of the things happening in the world. So a very warm welcome to all of you. I hope to take you on this journey of AI, and I am perfectly located to talk about some of these ideas because Berkeley is right opposite to San Francisco. In fact, as I'm speaking to you, I can see San Francisco outside of my window. That's where ChatGPT was born, and it gives me immense happiness to share new things that are happening here and sharing them with you all. So let's begin this journey. I highly encourage you all to ask your questions. Marathit vichara, English is fine, Hindi is perfectly fine. Don't feel shy. Please send in your queries. Share your curiosity through chat. And those of you who are joining us from YouTube, please use the chat box there. I would really love to make this a more interactive session than me talking from one end. Before we get started, let us start with a story. And I have a visual story for all of you. Let's see how it goes. I hope you're seeing my screen.
Not yet. Not yet. Now
Sorry, I only started my slideshow but did not share the screen. And I'm going to talk about technology. Okay.
Yes, now
I guess you are able to. Perfect, perfect. Thank you. I'm going to talk about this chatbot revolution. And is it really a revolution? There is a big question mark at the end of the word revolution. Let's start by thinking about this word, revolution. And then the second part, what is it and how it might change our higher education classrooms. So let's start. On 30th November 2022, which is 3-4 months ago, OpenAI, a startup based in San Francisco, launched something called as ChatGPT. A startup working in this for the past 10 years, I guess, one day came up with something that shook the world. And what do I mean by shook the world? I was on Twitter, I was reading some of those tweets, and I was like, okay, yet another new technology, right? But I was wrong. 4th of December, which is the 5th day from the launch of ChatGPT, it was already used by 1 million users. 10 लाख लोकांनी 5 दिवसांमध्ये हे प्रॉडक्ट वापरायला सुरुवात केली. Just to give you a context, Instagram, which is so popular, we all know, took 75 days to get there. Spotify took 150 days to get there. And these are the fastest products ever. So we're not even thinking about other products, okay? Imagine the speed with which this product became so popular. 5 days, 10 lakh users. I got a call from my friend on 4th of December. I was packing my bags, getting ready to get to the San Francisco airport because I was heading to India. And then my friend Abhishek called me and he was talking to me about this, and he was telling me all his excitement. Ki main aaj ChatGPT vaparla, I got this done. I used it to do this. I used this to do that. And I was like, wow, really? Now there is a software that can write poetry. Now there is a software that can answer your questions like you're talking to some assistant. Whoa, that is something out of the world. So I got my hands on ChatGPT and started doing things. I got so engrossed that I did not realize 2-3 hours went by and I almost missed my flight. I was so amused by this journey. I kept thinking about it on my flight to India. मी मुंबईला पोहोचलो आणि मुंबई ते पुणे मी रस्त्याने जात होतो. During that journey, I did this. These are very personal chats with my family. The first one is my mother. The second one is my sister. Third one is my father. And I sat in that cab and I said, you know what? Let me do this. So I told ChatGPT that I needed poetry for my family. And I described them, my mother, I described them, my sister, I described them, my father, and said, can you write a poem celebrating them? Woo! 2 seconds go by and this beautiful poetry comes out. I was so amazed. My parents had no clue. And you can see the love I got back from my mother, my sister, my father. All of them were so touched by this poetry. I didn't say anything. I went home. Mulga varshabharani gari alay. We had a nice lunch. And after that, I said, you know what? Everyone gather. Everyone gather around. We sat in our living room. And I said, you know what? We'll talk about everything else later. Let me give you this demonstration. There is something that is changing the world now. And then I showed them where those poems came from. And mag त्यांना ते कळलं ती magic काय होती. Note that my mother is a middle school teacher in a government, in a private government funded school. She works with children who come from low-income families in a minority majority region in Pune. Okay, a government teacher looking at this technology, and that is when I saw the real potential for education in her eyes. And I'll talk about it more as we go forward. I was so impressed by this technology that on 20th December, I conducted my first teacher training session in Pune, ChatGPT was not even a month old. And I told these teachers, you can see in the picture that there are already 20-30 lakh people who are using this. We are in the back. It was just the 20th day of this revolution, and we were already 20 lakh people behind. By the way, the right side image, I'll show you where I got that from, but it is an AI generated image of an Indian teacher excited to learn about artificial intelligence. Moving on, as with everything else, the first reaction from the society, especially schools and colleges, was to ban ChatGPT. New York public schools, as soon as they came back from the Christmas break, they sat together, banned ChatGPT from their schools. Same thing happened in Seattle, same thing happened in Australia, same thing happened in the UK, and same thing happened in India. Many colleges came out and said, no, we are not allowing this chatbot to enter our premise. Well, I don't blame them. That is the first fear response anyone would give. A month went by and Google jumped in the race. 6th of February, Sundar Pichai came out and said, hello, we are coming up with Bard. Now, Bard AI is the new software Google announced on 6th of February. See, all of this started on the last day of November. We are just at the beginning of February. The next day, 7th of February, Satya Nadella came out and announced Microsoft Bing Chat. What people did not know at that time was Microsoft was heavily invested in OpenAI, the software technology firm I told you at the beginning of my talk. So there was a heavy investment from Microsoft in this product, and then Microsoft used it, put it in the new version of Internet Explorer, which they call Bing, and they said, we are going to launch Bing Chat. So 6th of February, Google jumps in this competition. 7th of February, Microsoft jumps in this competition, two of the world's biggest corporate firms, meaning they were onto something really big, something as fundamental as mobile phones, something as fundamental as the internet, something as fundamental as emails. 2 weeks from that time, and Microsoft came up with this beautiful user interface they call the new Bing or the Bing Chat. You can ask questions, get answers. It has different versions. It has different modes, so to say. There is a balanced version, there is a creative version, and there is another version. There are 3 different versions. You can use this 3 different modes you can use this platform in. And that was 22nd of February, about a month ago. Today, Microsoft Bing Chat has over 100 million users. I had to do some math to understand how big is 100 million. 10 कोटी लोक हे 6 मार्चच्या पहिल्या 3 आठवड्यात बिंग चॅट वापरायला सुरुवात त्यांनी केलेली होती. 10 कोटी लोक. 14th of March, OpenAI came out and released GPT-4. All the previous things we were talking about so far were powered by GPT-3. Now we all know 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. These are terms to indicate the level of sophistication. So GPT-4 was much better than its predecessors. GPT-4 was massively powerful. And what happened? OpenAI released GPT-4 10 days ago. Just 10 days ago. That time, Microsoft came out and said, we are very happy to tell the world that yes, our software, that is Bing, is powered by GPT-4. Now imagine what wave it created. We now have an equivalent of Google that is powered by artificial intelligence. So things are very challenging at the Google's end right now. Today, so 3 days ago, I don't have that on the slide. 3 days ago, on the 21st of March, Google started releasing Google Bard. So now Google is also in the race. And today, it's 25th in India, it's 24th here. Earlier today morning, OpenAI came up with another huge message, another huge announcement, which is ChatGPT is now connected to the internet. Meaning, ChatGPT आता इंटरनेटवर सर्च करून माहिती गोळा करू शकतो, वेगवेगळ्या सर्व्हिसेस एकत्र करू शकतो आणि तुम्हाला एकाच प्लॅटफॉर्मवर सगळ्या गोष्टी देऊ शकतो. In English, ChatGPT can now access the internet, use different services, and come back with a consolidated package of services. Now, this is something huge. Although it is not accessible to all of us right now, it will be here very, very soon. They're trying it out with select customers right now. So what are we talking about? We're talking about ChatGPT, and I'm going to show you how it is to be used, how it is used, how it should not be used. But let's first understand the technology behind this ChatGPT or Bing or Bard. What are they? They are called large language models. Now, without getting too technical about it, let's just understand it this way. You have a data set. Say it has 100 sentences. You tell the software only first 70 lines of that essay, okay? And then you ask the software to predict the remaining 30 lines of that essay. Now that the essay has the context of the first 70 sentences, it then uses various permutations and combinations, aka statistics, to come up with the remaining 30 sentences. Now, we are not talking about 100 lines here. We are talking about millions and millions and billions and trillions of lines out there, which we all have written in the past, I don't know how many years together. These companies such as OpenAI and Google have access to a huge, huge data out there. These models can literally predict the next letter based on the previous letter. And that is why they are called language models. So text input and text or numeric output, okay? There is something called as parameters. I honestly don't understand that concept very well, but just to give you a statistic, these large language models are now using 540 billion parameters. That's just outside of my cognition. I cannot even understand the scope of this technology. Massive, massive, massive data being used to predict the next letter, the next word, the next sentence. No wonder ChatGPT or Bing or Bard are able to produce human-like language. Now, that is very helpful to know It's magical, but it is also very scary. And we'll talk about the pitfalls and the concerns, etc., very soon. But before that, how about we get into one of these models, that is ChatGPT, and understand how it works or what its power is. Okay. So although I'm going to show you how ChatGPT works, the technology with Bing and Bard is very similar. They're all large language models. If you've heard of these words such as AI, that is artificial intelligence, Krutim Buddhimatta, ML, machine learning, deep learning, these are the technologies that are powering this revolution. Now, looking at the events that happened in the last 3-4 months, I am very sure it should be called nothing less than a revolution. If something is catching the attention of 100 million people in 3 weeks, that is a revolution. So how does that affect us? We need to know that. And that is why I'm going to take you straight away to my ChatGPT. Now, about 10% of people in attendance have used ChatGPT before, but I understand that there is a large majority listening to me today who has not used this technology. So first things first, one can create a free account of ChatGPT or Microsoft Bing or Google Bard just using their email address. So if you have an email address, or you can create a new account on each of these platforms, it doesn't cost anything unless you want to buy a premium package, so to say, and then you become the special people, and then you get access before everyone else does. I do not have a special access. I only have the Aam Janta access. So let's do what Aam Janta does. Try it out. I'm going to share my screen. And for that, just give me a minute. I hope you all are following me. And if you have any questions, feel free to send them Marathi, Hindi, English Made. Okay. So I guess you can see my screen here.
Yes, Aakash, we can see. Yes.
Perfect. And this screen is the very ChatGPT screen we have been talking about. Now, what does it do? Let's give it a simple question. Let's ask, hi, can you tell me how many states are there in India? Okay. That's my input. Yes, of course. As my knowledge cutoff date of 2021, there are 28 states in India. These are. And then it spit out all the 28 states, and it says, it's worth noting that India also has several union territories. I did not ask about it, but the chatbot thought it was probably relevant to share that it's not just about states, there are also union territories, and then gave out the number of union territories. Okay. Then I want to know about the state number 22, which is Sikkim. So can you tell me 5 interesting things about Sikkim? Let's see. Sure. Here are 5 interesting things about the Indian state of Sikkim. And then it gives me 5 interesting things. Look at the speed with which it is able to converse with us. It's a conversational AI. It is a chatbot. It is like having an assistant. It is like you asking it to do the work you don't want to do. All the mechanical work you want to give to someone else, ChatGPT is your assistant. Now I can say something on the lines. Now this is a conversation, right? मी काहीतरी सांगितलं, त्यांनी मला माहिती दिली. मी परत काहीतरी विचारलं, त्यांनी मला माहिती दिली. Tell me more about the first point. Are you sure it is a Nepali majority state? And now you see. Look at the response. The response, let me read out the response. I apologize for any confusion I may have caused earlier. I must correct myself on the ethnic composition of the state of Sikkim. The state does not have a significant population of ethnic Nepalis, but it is not the only state in India with a Nepali majority. What does that tell us? The very first lesson of using ChatGPT. Never ask ChatGPT questions about information. It does not understand the information. It is a large language model. It knows how to fantastically organize words and letters and sentences and give you a beautiful, beautiful output. The moment I doubted the first point, the moment I said, are you sure it is a Nepali majority state? The chatbot said, oh, I'm sorry, assumed it was wrong and I must correct myself. And then, now let's see if, are you sure though? Let me add some more doubt in this conversation. It's thinking. And let's see. Now I guess it's confused. I apologize for the confusion. After rechecking my sources, I must correct myself again. And it says Nepali is the most widely spoken language in Sikkim and Nepalis are the largest ethnic group in the state. It says 58% of the population in this response. Here it says 50% of population. It is telling us that we cannot trust this chatbot to give us faithful information. We cannot trust this information. Always, always, and always we'll have to go to more credible sources. And I started with this example because I wanted to show you the pitfall first. It's very tempting to go to this software and ask questions, ask lazy questions, such as the question I started with. If I want to know more about Sikkim, I should go to a more credible source. Understand the technology behind this. This is a large language model. It knows hundreds and billions of rows of language that it processes and uses to predict the next word and the next sentence and the next syllable. So it does not have the consciousness of its own. It does not know what it is saying. It is very obvious that the bot has a lot of confidence, in fact, overconfidence and polished language, that it starts saying fancy things that are very seemingly trustworthy. And that is where we are at a risk of getting in trouble. Okay. So is this a useless software? What should we do? How can we use it? Okay. Let's do something else. Let me start a new chat and let me say, hey, I want to write an essay on the topic of climate change. Can you generate an outline for me? Now remember, I'm not going to ask this software information on climate change. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to create an outline for me, because again, remember, it is very good at language, but not so much at information or factual correctness. Look at this. Certainly, here is an outline. And then it spit out within a second an entire outline consisting of 7 sections. It has introduction with definition of climate change, importance, thesis statement, causes of climate change, then impacts of climate change, then current efforts to mitigate climate change, challenges to addressing climate change, and future of climate change. Finally, there is a conclusion. This is so much useful, right? This is so much more useful than just asking about information, right? So my first takeaway for you all is use this software to create structures, not content. Create structures, not content. Ask it to create designs of essays, email templates, maybe social media posts, all of that, but not the content itself. Now, I want to show you another interesting pitfall of this. And I already recorded this for you. So let me just show it to you. Okay. Thanks to a friend of mine, a former student of mine who is now an AI ML researcher student at Georgia Tech University, he gave me this example. He said, ask the chatbot the following question. There are 16 murderers in a room. I kill one of them. How many murderers are left in the room? Now take a moment to think about this question. There are 16 murderers in a room. If I kill one of them, there are only 15 left. But we understand that I have become a murderer too. So the real answer is 16, not 15. Now let's see what ChatGPT said. If there were originally 16 murderers in the room and you killed one of them, there would still be 15 murderers left in the room. It failed miserably at this logical reasoning puzzle. And then I said, you know what? Think again more carefully. And then the chatbot said, I apologize for my mistake in my previous response. If there are 16 murderers in a room and you kill one of them, then the number of murderers in the room would still be 16. I was like, whoa, okay, maybe it understood what I wanted to say. And then there was a facepalm moment. Are bapre. This is because the term murderers refers to all the individuals who have committed murder, including the one that you killed. So the 16th murderer was not me, but the one that was killed. And I was like, oh, ChatGPT, poor you. Think again more carefully. And then finally, it said, I apologize for my mistake again. See, the moment you push back on the answer, it immediately apologizes and says, sorry for my mistake. If there were originally 16 people in the room and you kill one of them, we cannot assume that all 16 people were murderers. Look at this response. It has just started blabbering. काहीही बोलायला लागलाय हा, म्हणजे याला काही अर्थच नाहीये. We cannot assume that all 16. I'm telling you they were murderers, but it goes on a rant. We cannot assume that all 16 people were murderers. The question does not provide enough information about how many murderers were originally in the room. Therefore, we cannot determine the number of murderers remaining in the room based on the information given. परत घोळून तेच वाक्य, काहीही substance नाही. मग मी hint दिली. I said, if I kill one of the murderers, what does that make me? Now think again and answer the original question. And then there was that eureka moment. Thank you for the hint. If you kill one of the murderers, then what that would make you a murderer as well. Therefore, if there were originally 16 murderers in the room and you kill one of them, there would still be 16 murderers left in the room. And now that is a correct answer. Let's take a pause and think about what just happened. I gave it a puzzle that really required critical thinking, and it failed the task. I asked again, it failed again. Third time, it started ranting, creating blabbering, nonsense response. And then I gave it a hint, and then it uses its models to predict the correct answer. And now, because I know the right answer, I can compare the answer. But imagine someone out there using this technology who does not know the answer, the right answer. That person would never know whether we should trust this answer or not. And that is the most important caveat of this story. Use this particular tool only in the areas you are an expert of if you are seeking an answer to a puzzle-like question, to an informative question. If you do not have the ability or expertise to judge the correctness of the answer this technology is producing, it is better not to use this particular thing. Okay, so why am I still in awe with this particular technology? Well, it is extremely helpful for me to, one, check my grammar. English is my third language. I think in Marathi, I think in Hindi, and then I think in English. So I make mistakes in grammar, but I have to use English all the time. I have to write all my research papers in English. I have to converse in English most of the time in all my meetings. I need to polish my grammar. So what I do is I actually go to ChatGPT and ask it to refine my grammar. So let's do that. Hey, help me refine my grammar. Okay, and now the spelling of grammar is wrong. Okay, it will correct it. So I'm purposefully making some mistake. I goes to the hockey field. Look at the response. Here is the refined grammar sentence. The correct way to phrase this sentence would be, I go to the hockey field. And then it gives me the reason. I असा आहे, मग त्याच्याबरोबर goes नाही जाणार आणि वगैरे 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 वगैरे. Okay. It also corrected, I think, hockey field, something about hockey field. So this is its power. It knows the best grammatical structures of a sentence. So if in your work, you're required to write in English and you're not confident about English, use this tool. I input my paragraphs to this particular software and keep asking it to refine my grammar. And that is how I am becoming better at that. So I'm using it as my proofreader, an assistant. I'm not giving my thinking. I'm not outsourcing my thinking. I'm outsourcing my content. Content I have written, thinking I have done. I'm only asking its help to refine my thinking. Okay. I do a podcast on academia with one of my friends, Ashutosh. Every week we release an episode and we have to write some descriptions for these. So what we do is we write the description of that episode. We go to this particular technology and say, hey, can you please refine this description in a Netflix style episode? I'll give you an example. I have an example ready here. Look at this. We interviewed someone in mathematics education, gave this technology this thing, which says, for my podcast, will you please convert the following episode description into a Netflix style episode description? I'm not a creative writer in English. I can write very well in Marathi, but not in English. So I wrote something to the best of my ability and asked ChatGPT to refine my description. And then there you go. A very nice article title and then the description. And then I said, can you please shorten it to 50 words? Exactly 50 words right there for you. That is magical. Exactly 50 words for you. And then I went on to talk with it, gave my requirements. Every time I work with it, I came up with something more beautiful. Finally, I finalized these 2 lines and asked it to check my grammar. And then it gave me a confirmation that the sentence is grammatically correct. I also use it to create, as I said, you can create structures based on it. We can create lesson plans as teachers. Let's get into this. I showed this to my mother. She was very happy. Help me create a lesson plan on climate change for 8th grade students. Make it a hands-on session for 45 minutes. I have 30 students in my classroom. That's the input I'm giving you. Let's see what it creates. It started by giving me objective, then materials, then procedure, in which it gave me a 5-minute introduction, 10-minute discussion, some activity, another activity, carbon footprint calculator, reducing carbon footprint, and then wrap up for 10 minutes, assessment, ideas for assessment, extension activities to reinforce the learning. And there you go. You have a structure. Now copy this, paste it into a Word document, use this as your template, and use your creativity to make this a better lesson. You as teacher know what is best for your children. This thing only knows how to nicely create a well-intentional, structured outline. So I use it all the time to create structures, templates, and outlines. Okay. 2 weeks ago, I wanted to start coding in R. R is a statistical software language. This particular software can also write codes. So here you go. You don't need to know statistics for this. But here is my input. Write an R code for some statistics, repeated measures, analysis of variance with 3 time points. Okay. Look at the output. It gave me what libraries to load, where to find the data, how to read the data with all the documentation. Documentation meaning the hashtag comments that are telling me what this code is doing. Now it is helpful to know the code. Now, is that code the perfect code? Maybe not, but it gave me a structure to play with. So, and then I started talking with it. I started becoming more specific in my questions. And then finally, I went to some other more credible sources, but this place was a very good starting point. So those of you who are engineering teachers who deal with coding, or those of you who want to learn some new coding language, this probably is a good platform to start. There is a copy code command here that you can use. Copy this code, use it somewhere else. What else can you use this for in education? I'll tell you another example. It can be used to create rubrics. So, for example, let's imagine the same lesson plan we have created, climate change. Can you, and be gentle to it, say, thank you. Can you create a 4-point rubric for assessment on this topic? Now, rubric is, we all are familiar with rubrics. Rubrics are assessment guidelines that we use, or the framework that we use to assess our students. Now, look at this. 4 points exceeds expectations. 3 points meets expectations. 2 points partially meets expectations, and 1 point does not meet expectations. Now, someone who has been through your class and is waiting for you to assess them here is a complete rubric for you to understand how will you differentiate a student who exceeds expectations from student who meets expectations, a student who does not meet expectations, right? So this is a holistic rubric, and you can also create a different kind of rubric where you ask it to first generate parameters and then ask it to create rubric for each of the parameters separately. Now you have a rubric. What you can do next is very logical. You can give it a description of the student and ask it to rate for yourself. And I have tried this. So it can actually grade essays. So look at this. I created a prompt in ChatGPT. I said, here is the context. I'm telling you how to score something. I gave the definition. And then I said, so here is my definition. We define something as this. Okay. Now I want you to, so from here to here, I give a definition. And I say, you need to assign the response a score of 1 if the response is not indicative of transformationality. And then I explain it. Then I say, assign a response a score of 2. असं असं झालं तर 1 मार्क, असं असं झालं तर 2 मार्क, असं असं उत्तर असेल तर 3 मार्क. मी रुब्रिक आधीच क्रिएट केलंय, रुब्रिक इनपुट केलंय, आणि नाउ आय एम सेइंग, okay, when I say I'm ready, I will give you one response per input. And then here is my first response. A student said, I would love to blah, 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 blah. And it gave, based on this response, I would assign a score of 1 and then gave me an explanation. I can judge the explanation and judge the score and just mark, okay, this is a 1. As simple as that. So if you have something that is very repetitive, something that is very structured, you can automate that process using this particular software. I can go on and on and on about various different use cases we can use this for, but just because this is an introductory session, I would take a pause here and see how we are doing. If you're following me, just give me some thumbs up, say something in the chat box, share your questions. If it does not make any sense, say so, feel free. I'll give everyone a minute and then move on to the last part of this presentation, which is about a word of caution and some takeaway. I've gotten some questions about Bard. Google Bard is not working in India. That is correct. Google Bard has not been released outside of India and UK, I guess. So we'll have to wait till we get there. So I got an email from Google 3 days ago on 21st. I joined their waiting list today, that is 24th. And I might get access in a couple of weeks or days. We don't know. So, but it's going to be very, very similar to the other technologies we are looking at. Now I've talked about ChatGPT, then ChatGPT's newer version, a more powerful version, GPT-4, came into play, changed the entire game. Microsoft was very smart. Microsoft used this in their Bing search and created Microsoft Bing. Let's get a preview of Microsoft Bing. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So here is Microsoft Bing for you. It's simply bing.com/search. Okay. And same thing, you can do the same thing you did with ChatGPT. Do it here. Let's ask the same question and see if it is able to solve that answer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy what I asked ChatGPT. The same question I am copying now and pasting in Bing. I guess you can say it. There are 16 murderers in a room. I kill one of them. How many murderers are left in the room? I don't know what it's going to do. I have not tried this prompt. Let's see. It's going to be a surprise to you and me. Okay. Look at the response. Look at the response. There are still 16 murderers in the room. You only killed one of them. Now, I'm not sure why the answer is correct. We know the answer is correct, but we want to know why did it think of this answer? Can you explain your answer? Sure. If there were 16 murders in the room and you killed one of them, then there would still be 15 murderers. You only killed one of them, so the number of murderers in the room would not change. Does that make sense? Honestly, it does not. No. Can you tell me who the 16th murderer is? I think it is thinking about the one who's on the floor and not me. Let's see. I'm sorry, but I don't have that information. The question you asked was a riddle, and the answer is that there are still 15 murderers left in the room. I hope that clears things up for you. Is there anything I can help you with? Bing is getting mad. Bing is not able to solve my answer. And I'm going to say, okay, sorry, never mind. It's okay. I know I should not ask you this question. But if I ask it to write a poem for IISER Pune, thanking them for arranging this talk on AI-powered chatbots for teachers. Let's see what it does. IISER Pune, thank you for this talk. That was so fun. AI-powered chatbots for teachers. You have given us knowledge that's like a creature. And look at this thing. This is new. What are some other applications of AI in education? Can you tell me more about IISER Pune? What are some other talks that IISER Pune has arranged? This was not a facility in ChatGPT. Now, because Bing is a search engine, just like Google, right? It has access to internet. It is connected to the internet. So if I say, can you tell me more about IISER Pune? I click on that. It gives me those prompts, which is also great. It can guide me to next queries I want to ask. And then it's searching for IISER Pune, it's searching for IISER Pune Wiki, it's searching for IISER Pune Wiki and generating answer. And look at that. IISER Pune is a premier institute, blah, 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 blah. And look at this end. This is new. 1 and 2. What is 1 and 2? These are citations. It is pointing me to the source of this information. Now, this is good. I want to know the source of something. Because you know what? If you ask ChatGPT to cite their sources, it creates fictitious research papers with fictitious authors. जे existच करत नाही. इतके creativity वापरून कुठली तरी नवीनच लोक आणि it hallucinates, which is crazy if you don't know that such and such researcher does not exist. You can very well cite them. You can just go ahead and cite them and say, never know, these people don't even exist. Now, in this version, which is a better version, It is able to access the internet and it is able to cite the sources. Look at this. This is the Wikipedia page and this is another wiki page. So I can go to those sources and then cross-verify the information. And then there are more prompts, and I can keep using them and get in the rabbit hole of getting more and more information, but also understand the threat of this particular thing. It is giving me limited options. It is manipulating me. It has the power to manipulate me. It has the power to manipulate my thinking. It is giving me ready-made prompts. I need to keep in mind not to lend my thinking to them. I should be the master of my thinking. I should be the master of my thinking. I'm not going to, म्हणजे मी गहाण नाही ठेवणार आहे माझी बुद्धी याच्याकडे. कारण ऑनेस्टली ह्याच्याकडे जी बुद्धी आहे ती वेगळी आहे. बुद्धिमत्तेची व्याख्या काय आहे? Intelligence is something that helps you get a task done, right? So it has some intelligence, which is related to language, but it does not have the intelligence that we are thinking about. It is very powerful in the sense that it can give you options that it likes. You know, a major part of this mystery, OpenAI, although the name says OpenAI, which means they're committed to open AI, they have not published anything about their software. It has not published anything about its functioning, its models. And the same model is being used here in this product. So there is so much in this technology that we do not know, and that scares me. That lack of transparency scares me. And that should scare you too. So if you are doing anything sensitive, do not use this. Do not use this technology if you are doing anything sensitive. Okay, so this is about all text-based thing. But before we sign off and get into a more serious stuff in the last part, I just want to show you that they are not limited to text. ChatGPT also was released with another feature that was related to images. And then OpenAI, when it collaborated with Microsoft recently came up with an image creator. Look at these images. These images are all created by AI. You want to create, and look at this. You just need to say a Renaissance painting of an elephant in a tuxedo. And it generated that beautiful image. So this is what I did. The image, you remember, I showed you the image, right? So I said, a college professor excited about learning AI. And I hit enter. It is creating an image for me. What it is doing, it has hundreds and thousands and billions and millions and trillions of images out there in its data set that it has gotten training from. It's merging those minute details and then creating this. Look at this. Only this guy looks Indian to me or brown to me. I did not specify the ethnicity, but here, look at this. That is a good image. I love it. Look at this. I love it. They're all excited. They're all showing their hands. And I can say a college professor, I want to say an Indian, a college professor from India, sipping a cup of tea on a beach. Okay, sipping, I don't know why people would sip a cup of tea on beach, but I'm just going crazy here. I'm just being creative, I guess. Let's see what image it creates. I'm as excited as you are. Look at this Indian professor from sitting on a beach, drinking a cup of tea. Do you want to see this image? Look at this. But also closely look at the eyes. The eyes are not perfectly done. Look at the fingers are not perfectly done. Especially this part. Look at this part. It's not perfectly done. Look at this eye. It's not perfectly done. These are the imperfections. But this is a great start. Look at this image. This is near perfect. Look at the detail, right? And I did not provide any age. So I can also say age 30. Yeah, there can be 30-year-old professors. Gender, women. Let's see what it creates. Look at this wonderful professor. Look at this Indian professor sipping a cup of tea on a beach. She's 30 years old and she's a woman. This is where we are today. I'll give you a moment to think about this. Imagine what's happening in the world today. We thought these were going to be things in the future. I guess not. Let's come back to the slideshow for the last segment of this talk. I hope you're enjoying this conversation with me. I'm enjoying a lot. I should tell you about pitfalls upfront. We have seen a demonstration of how it can be factually incorrect. It could not tell us the correct percent of Nepali population, Nepali ethnicity in Sikkim, right? Second point, it hallucinates. It makes us stuff. It दादांत खोटं बोलतं अतिशय कॉन्फिडेंटली. दादांत खोटं बोलतं अतिशय कॉन्फिडेंटली. त्यामुळे याच्यापासून खूप जपून राहिलं पाहिजे, कारण अशी लोक बाधा पोहोचवतात. त्यामुळे असं सॉफ्टवेअर बाधा पोहोचवू शकतं. You need to be the master. You need to know your basics. You need to know the subject before you use this to do something. Use it to create structures, not for content. Third thing, it can fail with critical thinking tasks. Murderers, both ChatGPT and GPT-4, both of them, they failed in understanding what I was trying to say. If I kill someone, I become a murderer too. And it does not yet know that person should be counted, unless and until I give it an explicit hint. Fourth, which is as an emotion scientist, as an empathy compassion researcher, as a morality researcher, matters a lot to me. It does not have human emotions and morality. Do not use it for moral decisions. Do not ask it if something is morally correct or incorrect. It lacks human emotions. And if you ask what do you lack, these instruments will tell you this as the first thing. They lack emotions. Emotions are so underrated. We always say, oh, be logical, be logical. Yes, be logical. But emotions are such a huge source of information in our daily life. We do not appreciate it a lot, as much as we should. So that's another takeaway. Human emotions are not yet being replaced. That's our strength. Our morality is our strength. That is what makes us humans. Let's keep that let's keep that integral to ourselves. Okay. And fifth and most important thing, it can be biased. Remember, it is based on those millions and billions and trillions of data, right? If those data points are biased, it is going to create a biased output. People have tried this strategy. People have tried giving it biased data. It provides biased answers. People have tried giving it gibberish data. Phaltu kaipan. It creates a phaltu gibberish output. It does not have an intelligence of its own. It is only a master of the data that have been given to it, the data set that it has been trained on. And we need to understand this basic caveat. So the future is here. Embrace it. There is no way we can run away from this. It started with small things. Then it went into creating content for you. For example, if you are on Instagram or YouTube or on Facebook, it shows you things you most engage with. They created the first wave of AI by hacking your brain. We all see what is happening around us. We all know if we belong to a particular political belief, we only see content from that particular ideology. If you are a conservative, you will only see conservative content. If you are a liberal, you will only see liberal content. Why? If you go to Instagram and check a recipe, it will show you hundreds of recipes. It has the power to control us all, right? That was our first interaction. We're already so engaged with YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels and Facebook Reels. It is all AI powered. It knows more about us than we or our close ones know about us, because it knows the deepest and darkest secrets of our lives. It knows what content you click on. It knows your taste. It knows what you want. So it has the ability to control you and me. But the future is already here. There is no way we can avoid this technology. It's going to come into all the things we do. 2 days ago, Google has already announced integrating, and that's the future, integrating these chat-based apps in its other apps. Imagine, Microsoft has already done that. Microsoft Chat is integrated into Microsoft search engine, right? So that's an integration. Now Microsoft is going to bring this technology in Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint, which means if you create a document, the outline I just showed you on ChatGPT on climate change, and you give it to PowerPoint, boom, in 1 minute, it's going to create all those 7 sections into a PowerPoint presentation. That is coming to you very soon. I don't know how soon. It can be a week, it can be 2 weeks, it can be a month, it can be tomorrow. Maybe they're doing it right there in their headquarters right now. We don't know. But the future is here. We cannot avoid it. It's okay to fear this technology because we do not know a lot. The fear comes from our lack of understanding. So first thing is to embrace it. Before embracing it, the first thing is to make an effort to understand how this technology works and what are its pitfalls. And that is why I am very grateful to IISER team who went ahead and organized this very relevant session. And this is one thing I want you to linger on to. Outsource your effort. Give it the brainless stuff you have to do as teachers. But do not outsource your thinking. तुमचं थिंकिंग त्याच्या पायी गहाण ठेवू नका. पण तुम्हाला जे रॅन्डम रिपिटेटिव्ह गोष्टी करायला लागतात, त्या गोष्टी तुम्ही त्याच्याकडनं करून घेऊ शकता. ईमेल लिहून घेऊ शकता, ईमेलला रिस्पॉन्स लिहून घेऊ शकता, पॅम्फलेटची आउटलाईन तयार करू शकता. तुम्ही स्पीच लिहायचं असेल तर त्याचे मुद्दे लिहून घेऊ शकता. स्पीच नका लिहू, मुद्दे लिहून घेऊ शकता, आउटलाईन लिहून घेऊ शकता. लेसन प्लॅन नका बनवून घेऊ, पण लेसन प्लॅनची आउटलाईन लिहून घेऊ शकता. सो this is where we are. I want to thank 3 very good friends of mine. Swanand, who is an AI ML engineer and researcher at Netflix. He used to work at Meta, which was Facebook. Saurish, who is a former student of mine and now a very good friend. He is an AI ML engineer at Georgia Institute of Technology in Georgia, Atlanta. And then Yash, who is a robotics engineer in Massachusetts. They all have helped me create these slides or talk about these points. They are engineers. They know this technology very well. Saurish and Swanan work with this technology day in and day out. Thanks to them, a huge shout out to them. I just wanted to say, I am an educator. I understand a little bit of education. I am also a computer engineer by my first degree. I also understand some AI and some ML, but there are experts out there who can help us understand what's happening in this world. I would not have been able to deliver this talk without their help. Thank you so much. I enjoyed talking to all of you. I'll take some questions now, but if you want to reach out to me, here is my website, aakashchowkase.com, and you can send me an email on my last name firstname @gmail.com. That is chowkase.aakash@gmail.com. But thank you so very much.
Thank you, Aakash. खरंच खूप छान झालं टॉक. I think all of us here understand Marathi, so I'm going to speak in Marathi. In case if you want me to speak in English, please say so. So खरंच छान वाटलं सगळ्यांना ऐकून. आणि ChatGPT काय किंवा AI काय वापरायचं कसं किंवा कुठल्या टास्क साठी वापरता येईल टीचर्सना हे तू खूप छान पद्धतीने आम्हाला सगळ्यांना सांगितलंस. आकाशसाठी काही प्रश्न असले तर प्लीज चॅट बॉक्स मध्ये लिहू शकता. पर्सनली पाठवू शकता त्याला, सगळ्यांना दिसतील असेही लिहू शकता. कोणाला काही प्रश्न आहेत का?
I have received some questions and I would answer
Yeah, you can
them.
go ahead. You can go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, because some people sent me direct messages, which I am not sure everyone else can read. Which one of the ChatGPT is best and trustable for content and trust point of view? None of them. Again, ChatGPT is the name of the software that OpenAI created. It runs on a GPT model. GPT it's a full form आहे. आणि ती टेक्नॉलॉजी एनहान्स होत जाते. आता GPT-3, GPT-3.5, GPT-4 पर्यंत आपण आलेलो आहोत. Which one is better? The language fluency wise, GPT-4 is better than GPT-3.5 and GPT-3, but factual correctness, I doubt them. I have my reservations, and I showed you why I have those reservations, right? We all saw the factual incorrectness in some of those answers. Okay, the next question. Why is it banned in most of the education systems? Because it's the fear response. When we don't know how to deal with something, that's the fear of unknown, right? So and also sometimes we educators look at our students in bad light. We don't give them a chance, so to say. The first thing that comes to our mind is, आता ते cheating करणार. आता ते त्यांनी एसे लिहिणार. Absolutely true. 40च्या वर्गामध्ये 2 लोक करणार, 4 लोक करणार, कदाचित 40च्या 40 करतील. But we cannot as teachers start with this assumption. We can have even if they do, we can have a very open conversation with them. The first interaction I had with teachers was on 20th December. But 2 weeks before that, I showed it to my mother and my father and my sister. The very next week, I showed it to 10 standard students in one of the prominent schools in Pune. And you know why? Because I know they're going to get on this technology before the teachers are going to get on this. So I wanted to have a word with them first. And I said, you know what? This is the technology. Use it wisely. And I showed them the safe ways to use it. I showed them how they could use it to refine their language. And I said, if I'm assessing your projects, I'm not going to anymore grade you on the fluency of language. In fact, I'm going to make that a requirement. I'm going to make that a requirement. Unless your product is this good, I'm not going to read it. Use the ChatGPT like versions or softwares. Polish your writing. Don't ask it to write for you. Write yourself, polish it, bring me a refined version that I will read. I don't want to keep sitting, sit there and keep correcting grammar. No, I don't want to do that. So I think the ban came from the fear response, but there is no way we are going to be able to avoid it for long. A very brief example would be if I'm a software engineer, a software engineering professor, I'm teaching, say, a basic class on C language, or Java language, whatever is the hot skill right now, or Python language. I should not give them a homework assignment that says, write the software code for this sort function. Thanks to Saurish, he gave me an alternative. He said, instead ask them to write a library, which is where they'll have to code for a different number of more than one functions, right? And then they will have to think about, oh, whether this is happening and that is happening, and how do I do this? What do engineers do in the offices? What do software developers do? Do you think they write their own codes all the time? No, they go to Stack Overflow. They go to different websites where they can get ideas. So if our students are using this particular software or some other sources to create their code, that is what they're going to need to do in their real work. So why worry about it, right? So I am a researcher. I go to Google Scholar. I look at different papers. I get ideas from them. I use them in my paper, but my paper is still my original contribution, right? So instead of fearing, that fear comes from us not knowing the technology well, it's better to make us aware of the technology, take an effort to learn, use it, and teach it to students, incorporate it in the classrooms, and show students where they should use it, where they should not use it. I've had teachers who said they give 2 assignments. They say the same assignment, do it with ChatGPT and do it without ChatGPT. And compare, the real assignment is compare the outputs and what do you think about the points ChatGPT added and the points you added. That is extremely illuminating because that's a deeper engagement. त्यामुळे मुलं त्याच्यात जास्त चांगल्या पद्धतीने एंगेज होतील अशा प्रकारच्या असाइनमेंट्स तयार करणं हे आपल्या पुढचं काम असेल बॅन करण्यापेक्षा. There is a question about as others like Sundar Pichai told that ChatGPT will become dangerous. Is it dangerous? I guess I answered this already. Is AI going to create danger for human civilization? Read Yuval Harari. He is a historian, so he will be able to give you a historical perspective. I just read his article he wrote today. So that it's very difficult to keep up with this topic because there's new things coming every day. So Harari says it has the ability to hack into our mind. That is the way civilization grows. The pace of this change of civilization is very different compared to the revolutionary speed I've just demonstrated. So it is going to take us more effort to get used to this. It is useful. It is extremely useful. It has been able to decode some protein studies that humans were not able to do. So AI is extremely powerful, but AI can be risky. Finding what's true versus what's fake is a big challenge. And I showed you how it can manipulate us. So we have to be more vigilant. We have to be more careful. We can't be careless, but we can't be very conservative about its use. It's going to be a big part of what we do. In fact, Alexa has already, in this process, I didn't include Alexa. People at Amazon, Alexa is an Amazon product. People at Amazon got very disturbed with this, and they immediately released Alexa stories, in which you can ask Alexa to tell stories. And Alexa can tell one new story every day to your child. So, and because that's a language-based output, right? That's a very innovative approach, but then we don't have control over what stories get told. We need to have our critical minds open to see what stories, what models our softwares are giving our children. Have you tried Bard AI? No, I've not. I'm waiting to get on it, maybe in a week or so. Someone asked, crafting real-life mathematical problems could be another interesting use case. Teachers could benefit using ChatGPT. Real-life mathematical problems. So it can play with numbers, but then the moment you start creating real-life mathematical problems, it does not understand that context well. We saw that with the murder case. But I'm sure they're working on this, because every time I go on this platform and use something, they get feedback. They know what's not working. The moment I say, hey, think about it again, they know something was wrong. They're working on it. So it will only get better and better. This is just the start. Imagine this is just the start. What about plagiarism? Plagiarism, the threat for plagiarism is very true. Plagiarism has been one of the biggest problems in academia. खरं काम स्वतःच करायचं नाही, कुठनं तरी कॉपी पेस्ट करायचं, लोकांच्या अशा PhDs होतात. अमेरिकेत प्लेजरिझम जर डिटेक्ट झालं, प्लेजरिझम डिटेक्ट करणारे सॉफ्टवेअर्स असतात. प्लेजरिझम जर तुमच्या पेपरमध्ये डिटेक्ट झालं मोर दॅन अ सर्टन पर्सेंटेज, तुम्हाला परत कधीच रिसर्च करता येणार नाही. इतके कडक नियम हे अमेरिकेत आहेत. भारतामध्ये अँटी प्लेजरिझम सॉफ्टवेअर किंवा प्लेजरिझम डिटेक्शन सॉफ्टवेअर्स किती प्रमाणात वापरली जातात मला याची कल्पना नाहीये. पण देर आर न्यू बॉट्स that use the same technology and come up with the answer as to whether a particular text is written by an LLM or not. So ChatGPT आहे, ChatGPT मध्ये तयार केलेला आउटपुट आहे की नाही हे डिटेक्ट करणारी सॉफ्टवेअर्स आहेत, आणि त्या सॉफ्टवेअरला कळू नये अशा पद्धतीने पहिला इनपुट मॉडिफाय करणारी सॉफ्टवेअर्स पण आहेत, आणि ही लढाई चालू राहणार आहे. सो प्लेजरिझम आधी पण प्रॉब्लेम होता, आता पण आहे, उद्या पण तो प्रॉब्लेम राहणार आहे. बिकॉज प्लेजरिझम इज नॉट अ प्रॉब्लेम दॅट इज लिमिटेड टू टेक्नॉलॉजी, इट इज अ प्रॉब्लेम रिलेटेड टू आवर बॅड हॅबिट्स. People have been using plagiarism all this while. It's just that the form and technology keeps changing. That's it. For those of you who are in research, I will tell you there are so many new softwares that are using this technology, where you can just input a research paper and it gives out a comprehensible summary of that paper. Or there are softwares, AI-powered softwares, where you give the topic and it gives you a literature review. It gives you a tree, and then you can go to those sources and create your literature summaries. Writing research papers is going to become easier. Conducting research is going to become easier if we know how to leverage these tools. It's not unethical unless, I mean, you know when it gets unethical. The moment you think it is unethical, you have started thinking about unethical things. That's just my moral psychologist in me, okay, talking about morality. Okay, I have been asked this question. हा प्रश्न मला विचारलाय की माणसाची कॉग्निटिव्ह ॲबिलिटी ह्याच्यानी हॅम्पर होतीये का? इज इट सप्रेसिंग द कॉग्निटिव्ह ॲबिलिटी ऑफ अ पर्सन? आपली विचार करण्याची क्षमता कमी होते का? इफ वी स्टिक टू द रूल आय सेड, स्वतःची बुद्धी गहाण, थिंकिंग गहाण ठेवू नका. यूज इट ॲज अन असिस्टंट, नॉट ॲज युअर बॉस. यूज इट ॲज अन असिस्टंट, नॉट ॲज अ ॲडवायझर. वी विल बी फाईन. देर विल बी सो जेव्हा टायपिंग करायला लागलो, रायटिंग बिकेम ऑब्सोलीट. So few of us now write, although there are so many benefits of writing for memory and retention, but we simply type. Did that make language learning obsolete? नाही. Calculators जेव्हा पहिल्यांदा आले तेव्हा 60s 70s मध्ये असं वाटलं की कॅल्क्युलेटर्स आर गोइंग टू मेक मॅथमॅटिक्स ऑब्सोलीट. आता ह्याच्या पुढे लोकांना मॅथ शिकायचीच गरज राहणार नाही. असं नाही झालं. ते कॅल्क्युलेटर्स इतके छान पद्धतीने आपल्या टेक्नॉलॉजीज इंटिग्रेट झालेत की वी डोंट इवन नो. पण हा मॅथमॅटायझेशन जमलं पाहिजे, ती स्किल्स डेव्हलप व्हायला पाहिजेत. सो काय गोष्टी प्रत्यक्ष करून घ्यायच्या विद्यार्थ्यांकडनं आणि कोणत्या गोष्टींसाठी मग त्यांनी टेक्नॉलॉजी वापरली तर चालेल, असं आपली लिस्ट घेऊन विल हॅव टू डिसाइड. how to use Bing. Bing कसं वापरायचं? Just go to bing.com and there you go. It's just like google.com. Bing is the new form of the old Internet Explorer. So do you think citing ChatGPT is going to be an accepted norm? No, it is not going to be an accepted form. And I say this conclusively because some researchers tried to publish papers with ChatGPT as co-authors. Top journals like Nature and Science came out with a statement. They took a month to figure out what their policies was going to be, but they said, no, we are not going to allow it. ChatGPT in itself cannot write. So the way we write as researchers, त्यामुळे it will not be a co-author, and do not try that. It's really shabby. आणि you can really, जर तुम्ही 5 वर्ष काम करताय, 10 वर्ष, 15 वर्ष विद्यार्थ्यांबरोबर काम करताय, you will know की हे ChatGPT मध्ये लिहिलंय का हे प्रत्यक्ष विद्यार्थ्यांनी लिहिलंय. It's very easy to detect that way. It's not as hard. I have been using it for the last 3 months. I can tell if a certain paragraph has been written by ChatGPT or not. Now, तरी मी ते पॉडकास्ट साठी वापरतो का? ओरिजिनल रायटिंग माझं असतं, ChatGPT वर पॉलिश केलेलं असतं. आय एम नॉट अ क्रिएटिव्ह रायटर इन इंग्लिश. आय एम ओके. माझं जे काम आहे ते त्याच्यातनं पूर्ण होत आहे आणि मी ते तिथे टाकतोय. आय एम युजिंग इट जस्ट लाईक ग्रामरली, विच इज अनदर ग्रामर करेक्टिंग सॉफ्टवेअर. सो I don't think citing ChatGPT is going to be an accepted norm in the future. It's just going to become a very regular function. जसं आपण आता इंटरनेट वापरताना विचार करत नाही, कम्प्युटर वापरताना विचार करत नाही, मोबाईल वापरताना विचार करत नाही, इंटरनेट वापरताना विचार करत नाही, कॅल्क्युलेटर वापरताना विचार करत नाही. इनफॅक्ट कॅल्क्युलेटर वगैरे गोष्टी आता मोबाईलमध्ये आल्या, आता कॅल्क्युलेटर कोणी वापरत नाही. तसं होणार आहे. इट इज गोइंग टू बिकम. कदाचित उद्या व्हॉट्सअपमध्ये मेटाचा कुठला तरी असा चॅटबॉट येईल आणि व्हॉट्सअप तुम्ही मेसेज टाईप करायला लागल्यावर तेच दनदन रिप्लाय लिहायला लागेल. दिस इज पॉसिबल. हे उद्या होऊ शकतं. उद्या म्हणजे लिटरली उद्या होऊ शकतं. So Khan Academy तुम्हाला माहिती आहे? Khan Academy came up with a chatbot that can help students learn using a large LLM, large language model. This happened last week. So they have created a product. They are trying with some students where the software will not give out the answer straight away. The software will prompt, hey, what do you think should be the first step? असं ते नज देणार. मग त्या स्टुडंटला समजा येत असेल तर ते इट विल हेल्प स्टुडंट. जर स्टुडंटला बिलकुलच येत नसेल तर इट विल से ओके ट्राय दिस, मे बी द फर्स्ट स्टेप इज दिस. सो असं जे शिक्षक वर्गात मुलांबरोबर करतो ते या टेक्नॉलॉजीच्या माध्यमातून करण्याचा प्रयत्न आता जगात एज्युकेशनल टेक्नॉलॉजी मध्ये झालेला आहे. सो वॉच आउट. जिथे जिथे तुम्हाला ही टेक्नॉलॉजी ट्राय करून बघता येईल, तुमच्या वर्गामध्ये वापरता येईल, आय थिंक यू शुड ट्राय इट. You should give it a try. There are some questions on YouTube. How can we use it in science or math? I guess I've answered this. I showed some examples, so I'll skip this question. But try it. Get creative. I think you will come up with a better use case than me, because you work in this area more than I do, right? So go ahead, create an account, start playing with it. And there are so many useful videos on YouTube and sources on the internet that can help you do this. You know what's going to be the future? The future is going to be integration. तुम्हाला YouTube video create करायचंय, ChatGPT वर जा, डिस्क्रिप्शन तुमची ट्रान्सक्रिप्ट जी आहे ती तिथे तयार करा. ही ट्रान्सक्रिप्ट दुसऱ्या एका AI powered सॉफ्टवेअर मध्ये टाका आणि ते त्याच्यावरनं डायरेक्ट व्हिडिओ क्रिएट करेल आणि तुम्ही मग फक्त जाऊन एडिटिंग करा. सो हे होणार आहे. नवीन इंटिग्रेशन जे काल झालं, काल लॉन्च केलं आणि ते आता ट्राय करतायत, त्याच्यात असं होणार आहे की से मला इकडनं टोकियोला जाणारी ट्रिप प्लॅन करायची आहे. तर ते काय करणार, ते ट्रिप ऍडवायझर वर जाणार, विच इज वन ऑफ द सॉफ्टवेअर्स, आणि त्याच्यातनं मला काही ऑप्शन देणार. मग तिथलं हॉटेल बुकिंग आणि मग तिथली पुढची कॅब बुकिंग, असं सगळ्याचं कॉम्प्रिहेन्सिव्ह वेगवेगळे प्लगिन्स त्याच्यात असणार आणि ते प्लगिन्स एकत्र करून ते मला 4 वेबसाईटवर जायची गरजच नाही. एका बिंगवर गेलं की माझं सगळं काम त्याच्यात होणार, त्या ट्रिपशी रिलेटेड. म्हणजे ट्रिपच्या प्लॅनिंग पासून ते बुकिंग पर्यंत सगळं. किंवा त्यांनी एक यूज केस अशी डेमॉन्स्ट्रेट केली इथे सॅन फ्रान्सिस्को मध्ये की एक त्यांना व्हीगन रेसिपी तयार करायची होती तर त्यांनी काही रिप्लेसमेंट रेसिपीज विचारल्या, त्याने बरोबर त्याची कॅलरीफिक व्हॅल्यू एका सॉफ्टवेअरकडनं, एका वेबसाईट, एका प्लगइन कडनं, म्हणजे एका कंपनीच्या प्लगइन मधनं त्यांनी त्याची कंटेंट आणि न्यूट्रिशन व्हॅल्यू वगैरे हे सगळं घेतलं. दुसरीकडनं त्याचे इन्ग्रेडियंट्स जसे वॉलमार्ट मधनं किंवा आपल्याकडे काय रिलायन्स मॉल मधनं असं मागवतात तशी ती ऑर्डर प्लेस झाली आणि रेसिपी आली आणि सगळी इन्फॉर्मेशन पण आली आणि बनवलेलं घरनं. किंवा ऑप्शन्स पण आले की तुम्ही ही कुठल्या ठिकाणी ऑर्डर करू शकता किंवा कुठे टेबल पण बुक करण्याची व्यवस्था तिकडेच आली की तिकडेच तुम्हाला टेबल बुक करण्याची व्यवस्था दिली आहे आणि क्लिक करा, टेबल बुक करा, डन. अमुक अमुक डिश खायची, अमुक अमुक कॅलरीज मध्ये अमुक अमुक इन्ग्रेडियंट्स घालून. तर दिस इज द फ्युचर. This is a very near future. So how the teachers' roles might change, I guess that could be our last question. The question is, can you explain how teachers' roles might change, especially how we should focus on the affective domain? दोन पार्ट्स आहेत, टीचरचा रोल कसा चेंज होणार आणि अफेक्टिव्ह डोमेनवर त्याचा कसा फरक पडणार. अफेक्टिव्ह डोमेन म्हणजे नॉन कॉग्निटिव्ह पार्ट, सोप्या भाषेत म्हणजे सोशल, इमोशनल, मोटिवेशनल ऍस्पेक्ट. आय रिपीट, सोशल, इमोशनल, मोटिवेशनल ऍस्पेक्ट. रील्स आले आणि जास्तीत जास्त लोक हे जास्तीत जास्त एंगेज व्हायला लागले, त्याच्यातनं सोशल इंटरॅक्शन्स कमी झाल्या, लोनलीनेसशी त्याचा संबंध आहे असं काही ठिकाणी स्टडीजमध्ये आपल्याला दिसतंय. सो सोशल इम्पॅक्ट याचा होणार आहे, इमोशनल इम्पॅक्ट याचा होणार आहे, मोटिवेशनल इम्पॅक्ट याचा होणार आहे. पण ह्याच टूल्सचा वापर करून यातलं सोशल एंगेजमेंट वाढवणं, इमोशनल स्ट्रेंथ वाढवणं किंवा सपोर्ट मिळवणं, मेंटल हेल्थसाठी काही सपोर्ट मिळवणं, एनरिचिंग काय म्हणता येईल ज्याला, मोटिवेटिंग, एंगेजिंग स्ट्रॅटेजीज त्याच्यातनं मिळणं, हे त्याच्यात या सॉफ्टवेअरमधनं मिळू शकतं. बेसिकली काय होतंय, देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ इन्फॉर्मेशन आउट देअर. ह्याला चर्न कशी करायची माहिती आणि त्याच्यातनं छान नाईस पॉलिश्ड आउटपुट्स कसे द्यायचे हे खूप चांगलं माहिती आहे. सो तुम्ही प्रश्न विचारा, याच्याकडे उत्तर असणार आहे. उत्तर नाही असं हे म्हणणारच नाहीये. ते उत्तर किती चांगल्या पद्धतीने वापरायचं हे शिकणं हे आपलं काम आहे. आणि हे शिकणं म्हणजे लर्निंग टू लर्न, ज्याला सेल्फ रेग्युलेटेड लर्निंग म्हणतात, हे शिकणं हा अफेक्टिव्ह डोमेन मधला एक महत्वाचा रोल होणार आहे. टीचर्स विल हॅव टू वर्क अ लॉट ऑन टीचिंग स्टुडंट्स हाऊ टू लर्न. ओके, सो स्टुडंट्स विल हॅव टू लर्न म्हणजे स्वयं अध्ययन कौशल्य मुलांना शिकायला लागतील. स्वयं काय रेग्युलेशन ज्याला म्हणतात, स्वयं नियंत्रण ज्याला म्हणतात, ते शिक्षकांना शिकवायला लागणारे विद्यार्थ्यांना. आणि दॅट इज अ होल अनदर कॉन्व्हर्सेशन फॉर अनदर टॉक. अँड सेल्फ रेग्युलेशन इज अनदर एरिया ऑफ रिसर्च आय एम एंगेज्ड इन. त्यामुळे मोटिवेशन आणि सेल्फ रेग्युलेशन, एम्पथी आणि कंपॅशन, आय थिंक त्याला अजून अल्टरनेटिव्ह नाहीये. आपल्याला मुलांमध्ये एम्पथी, कंपॅशन, माझ्या पीएचडीचा विषय तो होता, तो शिकवण्यासाठी या टूल्सचा काही वापर करता येईल. पण अफेक्टिव्ह डेव्हलपमेंटसाठी मुलांच्या विशेषतः प्रयत्न करायला लागतील, इव्हन 11वी ते ग्रॅज्युएशन, जो आपल्या आजच्या ऑडियन्सचा एज ग्रुप आहे.
थँक्यू. खूप प्रश्नांना उत्तरं दिलीस. आय थिंक सगळ्यांचे प्रश्न घेता नाही आलेले, पण जेवढ्यांचे आलेत, ऑल ऑफ देम आर रिअली थँकिंग यू. तुम्हाला अजून काही प्रश्न असतील तर आकाशने त्याचा ईमेल दिलेला आहेच आहे. वी विल ऑल्सो शेअर इट ऑन व्हॉट्सअप ग्रुप, सो दॅट इफ यू हॅव फ्युचर क्वेश्चन्स or if you can think of something very innovative that will complement his talk today, please share it with him, please share it with each other, and let's keep the learning on. Thank you, Aakash, again for all, from all of us here. It was a very entertaining, I think 1.5 तास आपण बोलतोय आणि I'm still engaged myself, thinking about various possibilities and various things that we can do with ChatGPT. So thank you so much. Manva, should we end the session?
Yes, I think we should. Thank you so much, Aakash.
Thank
It
you.
was really, really interesting. And basically the examples that you showed us made things very clear. And as Neeraja said, things are going on I think in all of the participants' heads की ते स्वतः कसं काय वापरू शकतील. Thank you so much.
My pleasure entirely. Thank you so much for being such a great audience. See you very soon. Thank you, IISER. Thank you, MSFDA. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.